Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from the Mojo-verse to Earth 616 to nowhere in order to bring the Marvel Universe right back to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance
Assemble.
Volume 161. We are on the eve of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the final chapter of this Guardian saga. Brent, how are you feeling?
Well, thanks to your kindness of alerting me to it, I am literally on the eve of Guardians Volume 3. So, because at the time that we record this,
Twist the knife.
I'm less than 24 hours from going to one of those early fan screenings. There's one, 45 minutes away from my house, something like that. Whatever, we're going to it. I'm going, my wife, and then my two closest friends from work, including David, who has been on the show before, of course. So we're all going to be there tomorrow night, and it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, my closest showing is in Atlanta. I live in North Carolina. That is a no-go cost-benefit for me. So
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, yes. But unfortunately, whatever it takes is also
a lot of money.
a lot of gas money at that point. That because I ain't paying for an Airbnb or a hotel even for the night. No way. Sorry, call me cheap, but not happening. But
whatever works.
I'm glad to get to see it. You'll get in that first showing before even the very first showing you're going to see Thursday. So you'll have 3 showings.
That is the plan. There is actually a scenario where that could drop down to my usual 2 because of some other stuff that may end up conflicting. So I'm really actually kind of glad I have this. This almost feels like the backup viewing now, but
all right.
No, it's going to be fun. I of course wish that you had one closer to you. That would be awesome if you did, but I honestly it's gonna be my 3rd Marvel one. I had Into the Spider-Verse and Shang-Chi, and so I am very, very excited.
Yeah. So, but how's been your week?
Good. We're 2 weeks away from the chaos at work starting. We basically next week is it. It's our last week of calm, and then the chaos starts. So we're getting there.
The calm before the storm.
Yeah, we still have some prep work to do, but it is very much the calm before the storm. Whereas you are probably winding down for this week.
No, I mean right now, my part of my responsibility is my role as an assistant principal of instruction is building the master schedule for the entire next school year, and this is the week we call the master schedule build, where I've literally spent the past month putting forth my idea and developing the idea for what the master schedule is going to be. And then we put it all together, hit the magic button in the system, and see if they all build. And got very high in the mid to upper 90s of students being scheduled. So that's a big win for me. So
excellent.
So good week at that point. So busy week, and I'm as tired as probably you are at this point. So let us get this show underway. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network so you know when all the shows drop. Want to promote actually my show, World's Finest True Believers. We dropped a new episode this week, and it was a creator spotlight looking at Supermassive 2023. It is the new event spinning out of the Image title books from the Massiverse, namely Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, The Dead Lucky, Inferno Go Red, Radiant Pink. All that is all coming together for a big event book that comes out in May called Supermassive 2023. And I myself, Clay, and Joe were joined by the main writers on Supermassive 2023, which are Kyle Higgins, Matt Groom, Ryan Parrott, Melissa Flores, and their editor Michael Busuttil. And they were kind enough we recorded this back in March, a huge hour-long discussion where the video is also posted on the Geekverse podcast YouTube channel, where Kyle was kind enough to show some exclusive first looks at some of the art from the book. And it is, when anyone is asking what they should be reading, I tell them Radiant Black and anything from the Massiverse. It is probably some of the best stuff I've been reading in superheroes at that point. So definitely, if you haven't given a listen or given a watch, I'm biased, but it's I consider it one of our best creator spotlights yet. So
I listened to it this week actually. Yesterday, the day before, I'd have to look. I don't know, but whenever I texted you, I was listening to it, and it was really good. You guys all did a great job with it. So that was an awesome get, and just it seemed like you could hear the fun and enthusiasm that crew is having making those books. So that's awesome.
So, but yeah, check it out, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And those of you have, and I've seen some of the messages, I really do appreciate the kind words. So, but if you, we do have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. Our dollar tier is our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job, and then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows, including our show. We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU rewatch. We just dropped our 16th episode, Black Widow. So hope you all enjoying that, patrons. As always, we can't do this without your support. And if you aren't a member of our Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA Network for all the lovely Patreon content we have created for you all. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with immaculate customer service, excellent packaging, ships around the world. We've got a new final order cutoff for some of these lovely books. We've got the illustrious third volume of the Thunderbolts saga, Thunderbolts Uncaged Omnibus. That's the third volume of that. Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja. Based off what the show was a lot of times based off of. This omnibus is coming back into print for the first time, so that's there at that point, trying to see if anything else striking my fancy. But check out all those books and use that code MARVELGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. Use it a limited amount of times, lets them know that you're a listener, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so next week, if you haven't gotten that hint already, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming out, and so it's review week for us. So there will not be a regular episode dropping on Friday morning because there is no show. There's no Disney Plus show, so we only usually do 2 episodes when we have that. So we will be Walk the Verse, Joe's show, will be taking that slot. He's kindly going to be moving his episode to the Friday morning feed at that point, so you will have something to listen to from him. So I want to thank Joe for giving us that opportunity so that we will be able to drop the audio of our review on from Friday night on Saturday morning. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I will not be joining you for that one. My very first Marvel review, my very first Marvel MCU movie, I will not be seeing opening weekend because my wife and I are going on a vacation. No kids, just us. It's been 2 years since we've had a respective vacation like that. So the in-laws are going to be watching the kids while we get out of the country. So yeah, I will be seeing it next Tuesday. So the amount of dodging of spoilers and stuff like that, my mute game's pretty high at that point. So I'm going to be very jealous of everyone, but I will be seeing it the following Tuesday. But who will be taking my spot for this review, Brent?
Well, but before we get there, let me just real quick appeal. Please do not tweet any questions or spoilers and tag Chris in them. You can tell he has posted that he has seen it. Like, it'll be fine for me after it's open, but don't send anything to him directly. We really don't want to ruin any of the surprises for him that the movie is sure to hold. Now, who is joining me next week on Friday? Well, somebody who is also going to see the movie early. I already mentioned once, David will be here. My friend David from work. He's been on the show before to help out. He's going to review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with me next week. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing that, but I admit it, I will still miss you as well, Chris. And of course, the following episode, I will demand, even if it's a very, very abbreviated version, I demand, Chris, your thoughts on it.
I will definitely give it, since I did that last week for the Marvels trailer at that point. But yeah, I will definitely have thoughts at that point. But as I said, Brent, it'll be my first MCU movie I will not be seeing on opening weekend, so that will be the record has been broken. But again, getting away with my wife at that point, it is a trip that we've been planning for a while, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll miss y'all, but I'll miss y'all just a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, I mean, I won't judge you if you end up sneaking away to see the movie, but your wife might. So
Yeah,
I don't blame you
she's
for that.
already done the scoping out. So there is no movie theater that'll be playing it that she feels that I'm going to be allowed to go. So she's preventing me from that. So that's okay. But my tickets are bought, but have been bought for that Tuesday. So it'll be all good. All right. Well, again, thank you, David. I really do appreciate you subbing in for me. I know it's a tough thing to do to talk about a movie that is hopefully going to, so far, first expectations have been very positive. So we will move on from that. But let us get into the show. Not a lot of news this week, which, in talking to Brent, with, a lot of the press tours already been happening for Guardians, we usually kind of pick up some Mr. Feige dropping some hints of stuff or some like interesting news, but hey, maybe next week, but that'll have to be punted towards the following week at that point. But it's been kind of quiet, but some interesting items. We have CinemaCon going on. And as you see the title of our episode and the background image, we've got some news on Kraven, ladies and gentlemen. Get excited. It's Kraven time. I don't know if I'm Kraven more Kraven, but
Well done. Well
Yep.
done.
But let us look at some of the interesting news coming out of Sony's panel looking at Kraven. So, in a recorded message shown at CinemaCon, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is playing Kraven, announced that Sony's Kraven, the spinoff, will be rated R. This will be the first quote-unquote Spider-Man Marvel movie rated R. He said, F yes, it's rated R. So that's interesting in the sense of, okay, so we didn't get Morbius rated R. We got that PG-13. We didn't get Venom rated R. That was also PG-13. But Kraven's going to get the Anointed. How do you feel about that?
I mean, honestly, it feels like a gimmick that they have to do. We have to make it bloodier because people need something to latch onto. Okay, I saw all this stuff about, oh my gosh, finally a rated R movie. It's going to be the best thing ever. Finally, there's a Marvel rated R movie. Well, one, Logan does exist, just to bring that back up. That is also a rated R movie. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this movie is not going to be in the group of movies better than Logan is. I'm going to go ahead and say that. It might be perfectly fine, but keep in mind, like, just set your expectations because I'm sorry, you make Venom, Let There Be Carnage, or Morbius, any of those rated R, you don't suddenly have a top tier Marvel movie. It takes a lot more than being able to show some blood and gore to have the top tier Marvel movie. The best Marvel movies, in my opinion, aren't even rated R. And some people, there's Logan, there's Deadpool. Yes, we have R-rated movies to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is like the smoking gun of they've cracked the code. They're gonna have some blood and gore. Am I interested in the movie? Yes, I am curious what they're going to do with it. There's the news about the Rhino being in it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's a more traditional Rhino in the big gray suit with the horn on his head, as opposed to the mech robot version thing that we got in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I'm just like, can we please level set our expectations? Remember the league at which you're playing in. This isn't the majors, this is the minors. So just keep that appropriate, and then you can still enjoy the movie for what it is.
Yeah, rated R, again, it's one of those things where, okay, now people are going to say, okay, now we got a superhero, anti-hero movie as rated R. It's Kraven, not necessarily a household name outside of kind of our circles. And plus the stuff we're hearing, okay, he's not an animal hunter, he's an animal protector. I was like, okay, there's that. We're hunting the most dangerous game now, I guess, human beings. And here are this is where we get into, like, it lets them lean into it, but I wonder when I'm giving some of the descriptions of the trailer that was seen there, and, Brent and I usually don't like doing this, but since it's Sony and it's this movie, I'm going to make an exception because we kind of have to talk about it because reading these descriptions until we see it, I kind of laughed and chuckled as okay, this might be even more comical than they're trying to make it be in Gross Out. So Screen Rant's Rob Keyes described the clip of one point Kraven biting a dude's nose off and spitting it at the camera. Comic book movie added that the footage features lots of blood and lots of F-bombs, seeing Kraven ripping out a lot of throats. discussing film, reiterated the violence, saying that Kraven uses all kinds of weapons from spears and bear traps to decapitate and chop up goons, and apparently also crawls around walls and pounces on foes like an animal. Ariana DeBose's character was also briefly seen, who is reportedly to be the Marvel character Calypso. So some of those descriptions before I go into others, Brent, what's your first take on that?
This sounds like the adult movie a 12-year-old would write. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, there we go.
The thing that really gets me is the lots of F-bombs. Now, let me be clear. I have zero issues with crass language. Like, that's totally fine. But it sounds like other movies that are rated R, that are on a pedestal, that have people saying lots of F-bombs just because they could. And I'm like, no, it's just distracting. It's got to fit. Like, it fits the Deadpool character. I'm not convinced it's going to fit the Kraven character, but maybe it will. Maybe it'll be fine, and maybe it'll be a good time watching them bite people's noses off or whatever it is. I don't know. I think with Venom, I felt like the things that they did made sense. You're going to have a world without Spider-Man. You're going to try and do Venom. What does that look like? Well, you lean into the Life Foundation, right? Like a heavy thing tied to Venom, right? Kraven doesn't really have anything like that, to my knowledge, outside of Spider-Man. And so doing this stuff, being a conservationist and a protector of the natural world, that doesn't exactly sound like Kraven the Hunter to me, who he never seemed to care, at least in any story I've ever seen with him, care where he is, what the world is like. It's all about whatever his prey is. So as long as they ultimately do that, then that'll be fine. But right now, I'm with you. I normally avoid trailer descriptions. I think they're dumb. Even the headline on this says the trailer was released. No, it wasn't. It was shown privately at one event, exclusively there. It wasn't released to the public. But regardless, because it's this movie and my expectations are very low, I went ahead and skimmed through this. I'm like, it seems, well, what did I say about Morbius? I said Morbius was fine. Mm-hmm. Right? Fine. This to me sounds like it's going to be fine.
I don't know about fine. Fine, maybe a little bit too kind on this one too. In my
people say I was too kind about Morbius, but I'm like, they did get some stuff right and credit where it's due. So
they better leave Morbius alone. It's Morbin time. That's
you kidding me? Morbius is going to be in this. He's going to appear in the credit. Tell me a fact or fiction. It's a fact. He's going to I genuinely think Morbius will appear in this.
That would be awesome at that point. But so they did see Russell Crowe playing his father in that. He's vowing to be nothing like his dad, and apparently nothing like in the comics. And then it ends with the Rhino being seen, who is seen going through a physical transformation after injecting himself with serum. This is accompanied by the line, "Don't you want to know what they call me? Why they call me the Rhino?" And as S-Bubs is in the chat saying it's Rhino in time, I just have this kind of idea of oh, okay, we're gonna go Ninja Turtles on them. We're gonna transform the human into the Rhino at that point.
I do enjoy watching the Rhino bumble around, run around, and do his thing. So hopefully we get to see that.
I also have flashbacks to X-Men: The Last Stand with the Juggernaut. I just have this feeling that a line.
I'm the Rhino, bitch. No, they're not going
to. I don't know. This is Sony, Brent. This is Sony. I could see them doing something like that.
It is, and yeah, you're right. And I keep pinning my hopes on Spider-Verse. I'm like, no, they've proven they can do top tier stuff. But it's not the same people. I mean, some of the producers are shared, but it's not the same people behind the camera, if you will. So I don't know.
Amara Daniels in the chat saying, Venom, Morbius, Vulture, Rhino, Kraven. Who could be the sixth member of Sony's Sinister Six?
Oh, that's interesting.
The Hoobie Hustler?
Jeez, I mean, El Muerto. I don't like this idea as much as I like that idea of Kingpin doing a Sinister Six in the MCU. Venom, Morbius, Vulture, Rhino, Kraven. Who?
Jackpot.
Oh, jeez, that was the sound of defeat. All right, fine.
It always comes back, man. I've been
Well,
spouting that jackpot movie since Snell hosted the show with me. So
okay, I know. All right, serious answer. I know it's not in our rundown because it's still very much rumored and stuff.
yep.
But at least let me double check. No, it's not. But weren't there rumors of Tombstone being the villain in El Muerto?
Yeah, and then some of them are being
Some of it's debunked, like it's in the
Yep.
Scoop War.
Mhm.
So I'll say Hammerhead. Like I'll go along those lines, but I'll go a little bit different and just say, one of the gangsters. Yeah, I'd rather have him over in Marvel Gang War, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got a good question from Clay. We'll dive deeper into
we'll
this.
talk a little bit more about it.
We'll talk a little bit more about this, but I said, are you Kraven more Kraven? Maybe I'll create that hashtag. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to. I've got to do it. I mean, I've got the trend going on with Madam Web is the blueprint. So we're gonna start doing hashtag. Are you Kraven more Kraven?
SBub says Toxin from the hit film Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Here's the thing. I don't think in all serious, like to seriously answer that, I don't think it should be Toxin because you have basically two of the same power set, two of the same characters, and that can be fun and interesting, but I think that's going to be like that's going to be cool for like say Bucky Barnes and John Walker, but that's more about their personalities. I didn't get anything from the Toxin guy that's like, ooh, I really need more of you. No, we'll let Venom be. We'll let Venom just take him out in Venom 3, and that'll be fine.
You know what I needed more of? I need more of Carnage, and then they ended him.
They did end him, and I mean I liked Carnage.
I did too, but then they, as Sony does, Sony goes and fumbles the end game. So, all right, well, we'll keep an eye on Kraven, and we again put it to you all: are you Kraven more Kraven? So we will take our first ad break, listeners, as we continue on through our news. These, as you know, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right. So our next story. Hey, you know what? Let's stick with Sony.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just continue a very Sony-focused show. So Venom 3 is reportedly eyeing Doctor Strange star for a key role. So the scooper Daniel RPK revealed on his Patreon account that Sony Pictures has offered a villainous role in Venom 3 to actor Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I'm probably just butchered that entirely, so I apologize, who is best known is for playing Baron Karl Mordo in the MCU's 2 Doctor Strange movies. Also, he really, I mean, again, phenomenal actor. I mean, I first watched him in 12 Years a Slave, so that, it's we're going from 12 Years a Slave to Doctor Strange now to Venom. And Venom 3. So we talked about how apparently Loki star Owen Wilson allegedly got an offer to play a new role in the Sony sequel, but supposedly he turned it down. And when then it kind of went to, looking at him being the villain, Ejiofor being this villain, and no idea who it could be. I mean, now Mordo in the MCU is more villainous now, so I mean he's doing that, but it's just, I was happy when we got the actress who plays Keeley going into Venom 3. It's like, okay, great, but it's just like, it's kind of like Kraven. I think Venom probably will still be a better movie than Kraven, but everything about this movie and the continuing on of the things you and I didn't like about it when it comes to the writers, when it comes to this kind of stuff, is just like, whoever his agent is, I'm just wondering what was the selling point for this.
Yeah, and I've saw a few other people say that, and I guess we should admit, like, it's possible he just liked the movie. It's possible that, he was told something, he's like, oh, that sounds fun, I want to do that. Or maybe he just wants the paycheck. I mean, and I respect that too. People need to work. I don't, just because someone just wants the paycheck, like, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. That doesn't mean they're not going to turn in their best work or do the best that they can do. I disagree with the people who say he was wasted in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, no.
he wasn't used very heavily in Doctor Strange 2, but he had a good sized role in the first movie, and I don't think he was wasted at all. Now, does that mean I hope they never go back to him? No, I would like to see them go back to him, but the original plan of having Wanda kill him off at the beginning of Strange 2, or the original idea, that to me would have been more of a waste. But no, he's still in play if he wants to be. Who's he going to play? Another symbiote. That's all I got. Like, in all seriousness, that's I don't know. Like, I was trying to think of who else it could be. I think it's going to be another symbiote, which is the safe and easy answer, because I think that is what they are most likely to go with, is another symbiote for their main villain.
And said in the chat, thank you, S-Bubs, Chew-Wa-Tel Ejiofor. So appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, do you think Sony, I mean, we talked about this, we both talked about it with looking at the end of Venom 2. Do you think Sony has the foresight, or the writers, and one of the writers being Tom Hardy, has the foresight to even try to do Null? And that's just thinking about how we got that the post-credit scene and the little bit of discussion that the Venom symbiote had. Do you think that they will go Null on this? I don't know.
I think it's really early if they do, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean it can't work. For example, a very recent irrelevant thing, I think it's too early to go to the Flashpoint movie for the Flash's first solo movie, but it sure looks like it's going to work based on those trailers that were awesome looking. Like, call it what it is. Do I think it was too soon? Yes. Do I think they probably are going to pull it off? Yeah. Venom could potentially do that with I feel like it's still a little early to effectively go to the King in Black, but because you're talking about a massive Venom event with years and years of history and all kinds of things that led to it that they haven't been able to do. And it's obviously not the first time a Marvel properties had to change it, but the King in Black stuff involves Silver Surfer, it involved Thor. Like, I don't necessarily think they're going to jump to that, but maybe. And if they did, Ejiofor, he would be a cool actor to play that part.
Yeah, I mean, his voice is perfect for it at that point. It's to play that kind of villainous voice at that point. So, Fanboy Clay in the chat saying, I think they would do it just to get a win. But the thing is, like, you and I joke about this. I mean, both Venom movies, box office, hugely successful. It resonates at that point. But can they go 3 for 3? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, the two Venom movies combined for about $1.3 billion, something like that. Mm-hmm. That's a great turnout, right? Like, those are good numbers. The first one did 800 something. The sequel only did 500, but remember, the Venom budgets are lower on purpose. I don't remember exactly what they were. I think they did raise it. The first Venom was certainly the more profitable of the two, but as a whole, it is a profitable franchise for them. Is it a profitable universe yet? I don't think we can say that with Morbius's turnout. Maybe Kraven will have something to say there, but they at least have a profitable franchise with Venom. So, I mean, they got to do something big for the third one. I mean, it's just what you have to do. So I don't blame them for trying. I hope they pull it off. And I keep in mind, I like Let There Be Carnage better than the first Venom, but I hope they pull it off better than both of those.
Yeah, S-Pub saying, tell them the King in Black sent you. The Rock confirmed to play Null. Oh, that will make Fanboy Clay very happy at that point.
That might be worth it, just to see Fanboy Clay get annoyed at it.
Speaking of Fanboy Clay, saying there was a pretty big movie that propped up that second cough.
Sure. I mean, if you really think that second movie was propped up by the credit scene from Spider-Man No Way Home with just Tom Holland's picture on the TV, I don't. I think that is reductive, because the first Venom, again, made, I just pulled it up, $856 million. It doesn't matter what we think of the quality, in my opinion, not much. It was popular. It was definitely a hit. So I think people turned out for that second one because they wanted to. Also, keep in mind, when that second one came out, September 2021, pandemic restrictions were much more involved than they are now. Basically now pretty much is 95% open, if not more at this point. Like, everything's open, right? It wasn't that way when the first Venom came out. Like, people were still, introverts unite. They were still hanging out in their houses a lot and not always going out. So I don't know. I think for its time and for when it released and stuff, that they pulled it off. Now, again, I don't think it's a great movie. Let's be clear. I'm not.
It's a fine movie. It's a
neither
fine movie.
neither of these are making my list. You know, they're not making my top 10 list that Snell hates. But
It's making a top 10 list. It's not the top 10 list in a positive nature.
Right, like no, Sony has done. I'll take every Spider-Man movie before every single. Yes, even that Spider-Man movie before the Venom movies. But is what it is.
I take that the TV movie Spider-Man back in the 70s or
The
80s.
Nicholas Hammond.
Yeah,
Yep.
Nicholas Hammond. I'll take that over some of these movies that we're getting.
That movie, you know, it's not good. But even that, like, they got some stuff in this. I've watched it within the last year or so. Like, they did some stuff with the spirit of the character. You know, their heart was in the right place, and I don't blame them for the technology of the day.
Friend of the show, Sean O'Connell, when I went to his book signing, that was his special surprise. Had that on the screen, showed the theater a theater presentation of that movie, and whew.
I mean, they definitely used the same shots of him swinging several times.
Oh yeah, there were choices made. There were definitely choices made, but I digress. So let us get to our final news item. Let's get to the MCU. Let's get back to a little bit of a little bit of a happier place. So talk about Agatha Coven of Chaos Disney Plus show confirmed to be part musical. So in an interview with a Hollywood Reporter, Agatha Coven of Chaos star Patti LuPone talked about the upcoming Disney Plus series while also confirming that some interesting stuff like has some musical numbers. When asked what she can tell about the series, she freely shared, we are a coven led by the great Catherine Hahn. I'm a 450-year-old Sicilian witch, and my power is divination. When asked if the witches in the series sing, she confirmed they do. Our lead singer is Catherine. I'm singing backup, and the songs have been written by Kristen and Bobby Lopez. And after confirming she is one of the backup singers, the MCU newcomer described the experience as, he's saying, listen, I don't harmonize. I've always been a soprano. I've always been on the top line, but it's just great fun. There's no CGI either. And from what I'm seeing, the show is going to be awesome, and it's a great craft. So Patti LuPone is taking the from the Bible of Alfred Molina at that point and not giving any F's about just spilling the beans on some of this information. So I don't know if even a call from Kevin Feige would say, be quiet, stop saying this stuff. But this confirms some of the rumors that we were hearing earlier of there would be some musical numbers in Agatha, which, again, even just from the song Agatha all along, it would fit, especially with Catherine Hahn's kind of background, even on SNL.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they did the different openings and stuff in WandaVision, like, and they were like musical openings. I know they were like sitcom openings, but still, they wrote the songs for those and played themes and that. And then, yes, Agatha all along is a straight up banger. Let's call it what it is. It absolutely was. And I think it's cool.
Emmy award winning. Banger.
Absolutely. And so I think I'm glad they're doing it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of musicals in general, but there is room for differences in the different projects. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That's fine. Like we it's not like we have a ton of musical numbers throughout the MCU as a whole. So I'm okay. There's mainly Agatha all along, and I can the Rogers the musical scene from Hawkeye, right? Like, okay, so 2, right? Like, it's fine. Like, I'm into more. And yeah, like, is she saying more than she's supposed to be? 100%. Is anything going to happen about it? No, not at all.
Patti LuPone in her illustrious age and her career at that point, where she's at, she don't care. No, she Honey Badger don't care. So, but I mean, again, I'm excited about this. What was great about, there are a lot of great things about WandaVision, but I love those opening numbers of the tips of the hat to those TV shows and the spins they put on it. So I would love to see that continued in this show and being like a dark comedy.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, we will keep an eye on that. So that is all the news that is fit to talk about this week. And let us get into our listener feedback. So, as always, Brent, you put out the Spidey signal for the question. So, what do we got?
Yeah, first up is one from Snell that he said he might ask us, but he never officially did. But I'm throwing it in anyway. He says, "What do you guys consider a good opening, and what do you consider a bad opening for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?" For context, Guardians 1 opened to 94 million. Guardians 2 opened to 146. What are you thinking?
I will think a bad opening is if it is in the low hundreds, like between 100 and 110. I'd say that is cause for concern on that one, particularly that we haven't gotten the official like big reviews coming out, but we've got the first kind of reactions, and it's all very positive for the most part. A great opening, obviously, if it beats Guardians 2. But I would say, kind of considering, and we've seen a lot of interesting level setting going on with box office, I would say between 125 and 135 would be a great opening for them.
So I'm going to had this question been asked me a few months ago, I might have had a different answer. But right now,
and obviously I was talking domestic at that point.
Yes, domestic opening. I'm bringing my numbers down a bit, calling it what it is for various reasons. There's not as many people going to see the movies. I know Ant-Man just had the biggest opening of the franchise, but then it fell off a cliff and is going to do the overall smallest numbers of the three movie franchise. I don't think as many people are going to Guardians. 146 of Guardians 2, that would be spectacular. I don't think they're going to get there. So to answer what a good opening is, I would say anything north of 130. A bad opening for me is probably, I'm going to say less than 115 is a bad opening, but it's not a problem unless it's below 100. Like below 100, I think would be bad. And as always, especially now, since the pandemic and stuff hit because of the repeat viewings going down, it's that second week that really is going to matter. Are we going to have, a 37% drop like Mario Brothers had? Probably not. Are we going to have a 70% drop that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had? Hopefully not. So, that second week drop, we're probably looking at 64%, something like that in that ballpark. And if so, that's going to be on par with what the MCU has, and really most blockbuster movies have done since the pandemic.
Yeah, and again, we cannot ignore the fact that people know if you have Disney Plus, it's coming to Disney Plus eventually.
Right.
Are you willing to wait?
Right. And I think that is hurting stuff. Oh, here it's Snell.
Here we got a visitor.
I got another question.
Look at that.
There was a question from last week that was answered incorrectly. Brent said, name 10 more. And then he named 10 movies that were better than
10.
Logan.
I named 10.
No. Here's the movie that Logan is better than every single one. Howard the Duck, Blade, X-Men, and Blade 2, Spider-Man, Daredevil, X2, The Hulk, Punisher, Spider-Man 2, Blade Trinity, Elektra, Fantastic Four, X-Men Last Stand, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man 3, Fantastic Four, Rise Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Punisher, Warzone, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Iron Man 2,
every Marvel
Thor,
movie ever
X-Men
right now.
First Class, Captain America: The First Avenger, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, The Avengers, The Amazing Spider-Man,
it's like
Iron
on
Man
a
3,
filibuster right
The
now.
Wolverine, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, The Amazing Spider.
Oh, there he goes.
All right, Snell. Thanks for dropping off. I'm so glad.
We lost him, folks. We lost him.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine. He likes those boring villains. I get it. No big deal. But that's all right.
That was a nice surprise. Thank you, Travis.
Anyway, so to me, it's a problem if it's less than 100 for Guardians 3. Less than 115 is bad. 130 and up is great. I mean, if they manage to hit or top the 146 of Guardians 2, that's fantastic. But I don't know. But they are doing these early screenings, which, I mean, that's good marketing. Word of mouth is out there. So if the people who go to these screenings enjoy it as much as the early critic reviews seem to, or the early critic social media reactions, I should say, because the reviews haven't dropped, then I think we're probably, it is going to be on the better side.
Yeah. Like you said, that second weekend's key at that point, but it will have to, that word of mouth has got to be very strong.
Absolutely.
To warn a lot of people who have been saving their money, especially when you can come into Disney Plus. That is something that's always out there. But I like hearing the very positive stuff, because the past couple that we've heard from MCU, it's always been it's okay, it's not great. Like, this one seems to be more on the higher positive side than we have for the last couple.
All right, from Phil, will Kraven kill the Rhino in the solo Kraven movie? What do you think?
Yes.
Fact. Absolutely.
Fact. Absolutely.
I think it's happening. I don't think they're going to keep him around. The only caveat to that is if they really do think they're going to set up a Sinister Six.
Yes.
But
yes,
realistically, even that, it's like, guys, you just had 5 of your big villains in a movie together. Like, are you really going to do this? But no, I think Rhino's gone. But I'm curious to see what they do with him.
Yeah, it'll be good. Good question, Phil, and safe travels down to Full Circle.
All right, Fanboy Clay. It's very clear Sony is attempting to follow WB's money from the Joker. If there was a villain story Sony owned that could successfully get the treatment, who do you think it is? Is Sony trying to think outside the box?
Well, why don't you take it? 'Cause I know you wanted to kind of.
I disagree. Sorry, Clay. I disagree with the premise. I don't think they're following the Joker playbook or anything like that. Venom came out almost a year exactly before Joker did, right? And so I think they're just doing we're making the playbook of the characters we have without Spider-Man. I don't know if it's the handshake deal. I don't know if something actually was. If there's something like they actually have official contract on. Whatever the case is, outside Spider-Verse itself, in live action, Sony is not using Spider-Man right now. Even the references, like the picture and stuff of him and Morbius, were taken out on the wall. So I don't think that's. I think they're just doing their thing, which, for good or for bad, that's what you want. But I might feel differently if Morbius had been the first one, but it's not. Venom was the first one, and it came out before Joker. So no, I'm not going to claim either of them as following the others. I will tell you, WB was a whole lot more successful with Joker.
Yeah, well, it also had a director that wasn't his intention. He wanted to tell one story and decided to, well, if I want this to get made, I'm going to put it in the guise of that.
That's why it's not really a Joker movie. It's Arthur Fleck.
Yeah.
But and that's also why I'm undecided if I'm going to bother with the sequel, because I didn't like the first one and it wasn't a Joker movie, but it was incredibly successful from WB standpoint. $1 billion. That's a huge hit. Like, there's no denying it. And the next one is probably going to do gangbusters also when you add Lady Gaga in there. In fact, it's probably her presence that will entice me to see it if I end up going. But what do you think? Is Sony just following, or are they trying to do their thing without Spider-Man?
It's like you said, it's whether a handshake deal or something like that. It's, you have this golden goose sitting there that's Spider-Man at that point, that they could literally take a different version of Spider-Man, call it Miles, call it Ben Reilly, call it Miguel O'Hara. They have that ability to do that. Why they aren't, again, handshake deal, whatever. There's a reason why I emphasize the PU and the SPUMC with this universe.
Indeed.
When you have a character, even like they took kind of their best anti-hero / villain in Venom, and yes, again, box office wise, it has been very successful, both films. However, that they could have done so much more with what they've done. I mean, again, they got rid of Carnage in such stupid ways at that point. I mean, there's so much more, and that's what's so frustrating with Sony. Like, when they're doing these, like Kraven, okay, fine, but when you ask about like the villains, no, you don't need intro movies to do this. You could have done a Sinister Six movie. You don't need to do the whole Avengers way of we're going to do a couple of movies and then have a big team up. They could have legit done a Sinister Six movie with like some of the classic Sinister Six and had a great movie of just doing that. I agree. I don't think they're trying to emulate what WB did with the Joker, which I actually really do like that movie, but I like what the whole kind of character dive into that whole thing of Arthur Fleck. But neither here nor there. Sony, I just don't know what they're doing outside of like I even though we do our hashtag Madam Web is the blueprint. That is probably the one movie I am very fascinated by, because there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on inside of things that are fascinating to me. I said, that's the movie I'm excited about. Kraven, I'm not excited about it. I will see it because of you, the people, but I just don't know. It boggles my mind so much.
I don't know the current status of the Olivia Wilde Spider-Woman movie, but
no one does.
Like, and I know they're doing the Silk show and stuff, but to me, what they need to be doing is Spider-Girl. Right, like Spider-Woman, get those characters out there. Again, maybe they have a thing with Marvel that they're not, like, maybe they specifically cannot do it if, according to the rules with Marvel, that they're their current contract that they have. I don't know.
But if that's true, why don't they just say something to that effect? Like, that's the biggest question. Like, Sony, you have like
I don't know. I don't think there's a good PR story there. Like, why are you making a Kraven movie? Well, we can't use Spider-Man. There's no. I don't think there's a positive way to spin that.
Oh, I wasn't saying it'd be positive. At least give us some rationale behind these decisions.
I don't think there is a. I don't think they benefit from telling us that. Let's put it that way. I don't think that helps the bottom line. Clay's other suggestion, or his suggestion for one, was he'd like to see a Spider-Man version of the Superman Secret Identity that was written by Kurt Busiek. Which, if you don't know what that is, that's the one where basically it's set in the real world, but there just happens to be a kid named Clark Kent after the comic book character, and it turns out he really is Kryptonian.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one that Kurt Busiek's Secret Identity is fantastic. It's a great read.
Yes.
Absolutely. Highly encourage that. Go check that out. But I think it's an interesting idea for a Spider-Man movie. Up until I don't need to hear everyone say, well, it's just Kurt Busiek's Secret Identity. Like, I'd probably enjoy it, but I don't think the discourse around it would be that great.
No. They pride themselves on wanting to appease the discourse, right?
Indeed. Omari Daniels, with the Marvel Comics Comixology app closing in June, what have been some great comics that you've read because of using the app that you didn't get to read physically?
So let's be very clear on this. Marvel Unlimited and the Marvel Comics app are two entirely different things. Marvel Unlimited is not going away. Marvel Unlimited is still sticking around. What they basically, as Brent said, the Comixology sponsored Marvel Comics app is going away for more than likely obvious reasons since you have Marvel Unlimited. But I never used that. Period. So Brent, I know you did, so you're gonna have to be the one kind of carry
I
this
used
one.
it a lot.
I'm a Marvel Unlimited person. That's about it.
Hypothetically, back in the day when you could still do in-app purchases and everything through the Comixology app, the main app where it had all the publishers, and then there were individual publishers apps for Image, DC, and Marvel. They all had their own. Now, with the Image and DC ones, you logged in with your Comixology credentials. With the Marvel one, you logged in with your Marvel credentials, and you had to go to basically marvel.com and link that account to your Comixology account. And they're telling people now, do that to transfer your purchases if you never did it before. If you did it before, my understanding is that you're good to go.
Yeah.
Omari, I can't tell you a specific individual comic that actually, you know what? I bet you, I think I do have one. The Bendis era X-Men books, which for the record, hot take, I absolutely loved. I love the Bendis run on
That's
the
a
X-Men
hot take?
books. Yes. According to things I've read about it, yes.
Okay.
I loved it. And apparently it's super hot take.
Well, I guess I'm a subscriber to that hot take then.
Excellent. You can join me on my island. We'll read some Bendis X-Men. Here's the
it's the X-Men?
Yeah.
No, that's on. I know you're on your own.
No, okay, get off my island.
Never. I thought you were talking about like Bendis era Marvel. I was like,
oh,
that's fine.
All his best stuff is at Marvel. But his X-Men, yes, I genuinely enjoyed. That said, I wasn't really reading the X-Men books that much around that time, but my friend was. Here was the kicker. You could log into different accounts on the different apps. And so hypothetically speaking, you could be logged into your account in the Marvel app and into your buddy's account on the Comixology app, and you could read any book that they bought, and if they did it, they could read any book that you bought, and it really lets you read a lot more books at effectively half the price. And every now and then, maybe there'd be a mix-up, and you'd end up doubling up, and you'd both buy the same book, but you just had to talk to each other. Hey, I'm buying this book, it's available. I'm buying this book, it's available, you know? And it was, so I did read a fair amount of like X-Men books, hypothetically, that way. But no, I really liked Bendis X. I know it's a hot take. It's fine. His Avengers, his X-Men, his Daredevil, his Spider-Man, his Marvel. I enjoy the Bendis Marvel in general, not as DC. Let's call it what it is. It's just not a good fit. It's not a good fit. They gave him great characters, and he just did nothing with them.
Well, like I said, I'm 90% with you on that one. How's that?
I'll take it.
But what they are doing, and they say to support our loyal fans, we will be making digital comic purchases made prior to May 2nd on the Marvel Comics app, accessible on the Marvel Unlimited app. No Marvel Unlimited subscription purchase will be required. So again, your stuff you bought will be available on Marvel Unlimited. You don't need a subscription. You'll need,
which is the right thing to do.
It is. So they are doing right by it, but this was a long time coming. As Fanboy Clay said, the DC app had been long retired at that point. They don't need it. And it's also this whole idea of where Amazon's taken over Comixology. It's not necessary. They're moving people over to what it is. So be upset, be disappointed, but Marvel Unlimited's a great product too.
When they took out in-app purchases, you had to go through that just shitty Comixology website to buy stuff. that was only in the main app. The publisher apps, DC, Image, Marvel, you could still buy books through, and then you could read them all in the same place if you wanted. Which, if you were like me and you would buy $100 iTunes gift card for $85 when it was on sale at Costco or something, you could clean up that way. But this is the right move. And Fanboy Clay, you said DC did the same thing. I didn't even know that, but I haven't bought a DC comic book in so long. Like I honestly didn't know that they got rid of their Comixology app.
Oh yeah.
I'm not surprised the service ever since Amazon bought them has gone downhill. But for both DC and Marvel, buy DC Universe Infinite, buy Marvel Unlimited. It's so easy to get your money's worth, and then like the whole rest of the year is all your free rolling on all those books, right? Yeah, sure, it sucks. You got to do it. You got to be a few months behind, but man, if you can live with just a few months behind, you can save hundreds of dollars every year, if not more.
DC, if you describe to the highest, you're only a month behind.
That's true, and I wish Marvel would do that.
Please.
I would pay more. Right now, I pay $70 after I've read like 18 newer issues. I've covered my year.
Oh yeah, I've read that and then some. It's just outstanding.
Yeah, you've paid for like the next 10 years at this point.
Exactly. All right, what you got next?
All right, from Hunter, do you think the next live-action spider suit we will see from Tom Holland will have hidden or exposed web shooters?
Hidden.
I hope it's hidden, just because we've gotten the exposed stuff from him more. It seems like with all the Stark tech, it's been a lot more. He's doing his own suit. He's got his own thing. Let's go back to hidden.
So, all right. Well, thank you all for the questions this week. And as always, Brent, thank you for sending out the Spidey signal. We're going to take our final ad break before we get into Fact or Fiction. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so give you that 3 count to sorry, Brent's texting me and I give a snicker. So we're going to give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let me put in that ad break count, pulling up the Fact or Fictions from last week. All right, so number 1. The Scarlet Spider will have at least one spoken line in Across the Spider-Verse. 84% said fact. 16% said fiction.
It has since been confirmed. Because we now know there's a mystery voice actor. They haven't said who he is, but there is a voice actor.
There's a voice actor, and I've got the PS to that.
So
I've got a PS to that.
Interesting.
Number 2, we will hear the MCU Spider-Man theme song in one of the upcoming Spider-Verse movies. 88% said fact, 12% said fiction. And number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will not have a mid or post-credit scene. 83% said fiction, 17% said fact, and that was officially debunked by
James Gunn himself. Confirmed. Yep. 2 of them, which
2 of them.
I'm just good. 1, I enjoyed them. 2, I'm glad it's not 5. 5, I'm sorry, it's too many.
Yeah, so we'll have a we'll have to see exactly what shenanigans he's setting up. So all right, so my turn this week. I have 4, and the 4th one just came about because Brent and I in our offline chat, I was about to say something. Said, you know what, that makes a good fact or fiction. Let's do it.
I still don't know what it was. You never said it.
I never said it, but I will be saying it as our final one. So 3 of these, as promised, will be Miss Marvel. The Marvel's focus. So first one. It will be revealed that Captain Marvel destroyed the Supreme Intelligence and deposed most of the Kree government.
Fact. That definitely sounds like something she would do.
Yeah. So, and, we do see some Kree warriors out there, but because she has put the government into a huge shambles, and one of the antagonists or villains is in there kind of holding the accuser hammer. Yeah, I'm thinking she's sent it into a bit of chaos. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, so second one, the bangle that Kamala Khan and Dar Ben, played by Zawe Aston, wears will be revealed to be created by a Kang variant.
Oh, that's tougher. I'm gonna say fact. I'm gonna give that a fact.
I'm going to say fact, but it's not a hard fact at that point. I don't know if they're going to reveal or just hint around it, and we're just supposed to kind of read between the lines on that. So
Okay.
So, all right, last one's just a little bit complicated. So, it will be revealed when Carol, Kamala, and Monica use their abilities together will allow them to travel through time and space, the multiverse, without using a device or the quantum realm. And the Kree will see this as an opportunity to rise again and spread their empire.
I'm going to say fact because we know the general trajectory is multiverse.
Yeah.
So,
and so
I'm going to say fact because that will fit with that.
Carol's abilities are tied to space. Kamala's are tied to time, and Monica's abilities are like a super battery. Like she will thrive on that one. So it is complicated. It's a lot of moving parts in this one. And Clay's saying fiction in there. I'm fiction in it just because of how many things have to be going right with it to have that happen. But there is that grain of possibility with it. So
Yep.
Hence these factor fiction. So, all right,
I
let's
like
move.
it. It's a good one.
Yeah. So, all right, how about we'll get some Spider-Verse. So, the voice of Ben Reilly in Across the Spider-Verse will be revealed to be Christopher Daniel Barnes, who played the character in Spider-Man the Animated Series from 1994 to 1998. So, that is where we will get him returning, not as us seeing Spider-Man the Animated Series. We will see him be the voice of Ben Reilly.
God, could you imagine if that was the only nod to Spider-Man the Animated Series between all these movies?
I don't know what Hines would say to that, but Hines
would be so mad. I you know what? I'm gonna wish cast it and say facts just because I like the idea. I think that's fun.
And yeah, we Brent and I've seen, that Andy Sandberg is quote. Now let's be clear, as I pointed out in our group chat, it says quote in Across the Spider-Verse. So we'll see if they're a voice. We'll see if it's a joke. Yeah. We'll see if they're Ben Reilly. But I like, if we haven't seen anything yet to say that Spider-Man the Animated Series Spider variant is in it, this is where I think that we get our ST. Again, we had some kind of clone stuff going on in that series a little bit, so this would be kind of the nod in the right direction. So
I'm here for it.
All right, so I will post those Sunday afternoon. So y'all let the voices. Obviously the results will not be revealed until we get back to our normal episode after the Guardians review. So let your voices be heard on that, and let us get to Comic Book Club Secret Invasion number 3. Brent, what did you think about this issue?
Man, some of these double page spreads, the art on them, like there's one of Venom at the beginning. It's like the second or third page, really cool. But then a couple pages after that, it's all those super scroll like scrolls. And oh my gosh, that page, I lost some time to that page. Like that art that's a beautiful page. Just staring around, like zooming in all the way around, looking at all the different bits. It's basically the Skrulls versus the Young Avengers at that point. But oh man, there's some good stuff on that one.
Yeah, giving not just, Linnell Francis Yu, our penciler for this, but Mark Morales and Laura Martin. Morales was the inker and Laura Martin the colorist. Just the combination of all three of them together, like they make this series just blow. Like you said, those splash pages are where they just get to have fun.
Yeah, but as cool as those are, the best sequence for me is Spider-Woman,
yes,
our Skrull Spider-Woman, gaslighting Tony Stark into thinking he's a Skrull as well.
It is such, again, at that point, it's something that you could see Jessica Drew, just because knowing her history, to kind of, like you said, gaslight, but being the double, triple, quadruple agent, at that point. But we know what she's doing, especially after she takes Echo. But as she is using kind of her seductress nature about and trying to distract Tony and things like that, saying, "Oh, you've done this wonderful job. Who would have thought like the Civil War would have taken out everything, and you've put yourself in this position," and just making him question everything and trying to drive him crazy because he's also got this techno virus kind of going through him, and it's making him go nuts with this. So. But I love seeing what we get at the end. Like, of course, New York's being a battle scene. the initiative, the Young Avengers are trying to stand on their own against the Skrulls. Vision is, again, taken down, but he's never gone forever.
He's a robot.
He's a robot at that point, but I love that last sequence where it looks like an earthquake is going off, and you get the shaking, and Skrull's taken out, and you see Nick Fury and his new Howling Commandos behind him, and look at this lineup. This lineup is so amazing.
It's a fun one. It's fun.
Like who do we have here? We've got Quake.
Looks like Parker Robbins.
We got Parker Robbins, the Hood. We've got a Ghost Rider.
Is that Alex Power? Am I remembering that right?
That might be. It's been a bit, but and my eyes, is that Franklin Richards?
Maybe that's who I thought Alex Power was. But regardless, and you know what? Like, most notably, it's this Nick Fury. Like, it's been a while since his son has been around. His son has been the more prominent Nick Fury of the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, I forgot he was going to be in this.
So I just love that's our reintroduction to Nick Fury with this at that point with his new
cable-sized gun. Cable-sized gun, right? Like this is 90s cable weaponry right here that he's rocking.
Rob Liefeld-esque. Just all we're missing is leg belts and bad feet.
I mean, he's wearing leg belt. If you look at him,
you're right. Now I just need to see his feet.
His feet, the feet are fine. No problem there.
All right, so we will look at Secret Invasion number 4 in 2 weeks at that point. But yeah, so basically kind of a big action kind of issue at that point. But a lot of fun, a lot of great splash pages, as you said. I mean, nothing beats those. Still doesn't compare to those Galactus splash pages back in Annihilation. But
no.
So. All right, so again, a quick episode but enjoyable episode at that point. But Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, BrentTech Prime on Twitter or anywhere else. Go to BrentTech.social and it's got links to it.
Yes, and we want to again thank our sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balgi. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. You can email the show at MarvelAlliancePodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. They want us to answer the show. Fact or fictions, DMs are open. Again, be careful with those spoilers, folks. If you got questions and you've seen the movie, keep them to Brent at that point.
Yes.
And just Brent, or if I see something in the Marvel Alliance kind of inbox, I will have to ask Mr. Snell to look at it for feedback.
Yeah, just don't look at the Marvel Alliance inbox until you've seen the movie.
Exactly. So, but continue to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcatcher's choice. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. Well, as always with the tradition, Blint, we've got a new movie. Let's make some predictions about, and probably as we'll start off with probably the biggest thing, our Deadpool for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I mean, I have two that I think are a lock.
All right, who are your locks?
Rocket and Drax. I think they're both gone.
I think Drax is gone. I will be the one who say everyone's been saying Rocket's gone. All the things have been leading towards Rocket's gone. I'll be the one saying, you know what? I think it's all misdirection. James Gunn's like screwing with people, make people think a certain way. I don't think Rocket's going to pass away. Could he be near death? Could he have some very close to it? But I could see him continuing on.
Okay. I do think it's possible one more will die, but I think that's it. No more than 3.
My substitution for Rocket will be Nebula. I think Nebula could be one of those sacrificing moment, maybe even though her sister, not her sister Gamora.
It's still her sister. It's just her younger
still her sister, but yeah, not her.
I can see her sacrificing herself to save Gamora. That would be.
So what are some other predictions you got?
I mean, those are the big ones. Adam Warlock, I think he's going to be set up to be kind of a bigger player going forward. I definitely do not think this is his only MCU appearance. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the credit scenes was about him. Star-Lord specifically, I think is going to be left. I feel like we are going to think it's at least possible he will put together a new Guardians team at the end of it. that like not necessarily he's done with the whole Star-Lord thing. Like I think he lives. I think the Guardians as a team is disbanded. I think he basically the implication will be that he is going to start with a new team.
I would say one of my hints is probably for the post-credits ideas, maybe a hint towards the Nova Corps series or movie.
Oh, please, yes, give me that. Sure. I was thinking about the credit scenes, and so far, the Guardians credit scenes have all been Guardians related. Like they haven't like played a random clip from Captain America or
Correct,
whatever.
yeah.
Right? I don't think they're going to do that. I do think it's possible if they break that, they could play something related to the Marvels, because I could just see, Guardians have dealt with some stuff like with Ronan and stuff with the Kree before. I could see them maybe teasing out the next big cosmic thing, which happens to be the next big movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to tease anything else. I'm not expecting to see any King variants. I'm not expecting to see any street level stuff, anything like that.
No Spider-Man.
No Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of people who disliked Volume 2. I've heard more positive just based off the trailers saying, oh, I think this is what I've been, I didn't like about the second one because it was missing this. It seems to be going back to form. I think they're going to get a lot of people back that did not like Volume 2 are going to be coming out for Volume 3. Yeah, it's going to be an emotional journey, even just for seeing what these characters have been through, seeing what it's going to be. I mean, just think about it like this, Brent. When this movie was announced, this was probably the first quote-unquote risk project that the MCU moved towards.
Oh, yeah.
And look how far it's come to being one of the most anticipated movies of this year.
When Guardians 1 came out, people were like, oh, they got that Avengers money. They think they can do anything, even the talking raccoon and tree, right? It was like, no, Guardians, I mean, they're a household name at this point. I mean, they like you told us about last week, they have a ride at Disney World, right? Like they are a household name at this point.
Yep. So, but everyone enjoy seeing it at that point. Brent, have fun. Those of you seeing the early screenings at that point, don't be mean and ruin it for all of us and posting those spoilers at that point. But
I will not be doing that.
Oh, I know you. I'm not worried about you. But everyone enjoy the review. Sorry I will not be there. I will be listening to it after Tuesday, after I see the movie at that point. But take care, everyone. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Brent, enjoy the movie. Everyone enjoy the movie. Have fun. We'll see you in a couple. Well, some of you will see people next week. I will see you in 2. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.